everyone, Hazel here from South Africa. Yesterday my craft room became a science laboratory because I went out and I bought some of the endorsing ink that I've discovered is a permanent ink, and so I can load my stamp pads with it. But the colors available, because it's for endorsing documents, is green, black, red and blue. Those were the 4 colors that I could find in the stationery shop I was in. So I brought them home and I thought, okay, well, I can fix this. I know how to combine colors and make another color, so that's what I'll do. And this was the result. I wanted to make a brown, so what I did was I measured everything by drops. Trust me, it took me the entire morning. But this was red and green, combining red and green to make brown out of this section. And out of the 3 combinations, the bottom one was the one that I liked the most for a brown ink. And then the next one that I combined was purple and blue, at least red and blue, to create purple. And I thought I was doing rather well, and I ended up with this dark purple, which is fine because it is a little bit kind of vintagey in appearance. However, this I did yesterday. I loaded my stamp pads and off I toddled. This morning I came in and I thought, well, let's use a stamp and see how things have turned out. So the first one was the red ink, and that turned out fine. The green ink also not too bad at all. Now this is the combination of the green and red that created this brown over here. This is the color that has developed on the stamp pad. Bearing in mind that I don't have any odd stamp pads that were green. Okay, so this is now what has developed from the brown. The purple has turned into this. It's just not making any sense at all. It must be the different chemicals and so on in the inks. However, what I will do is go back and just here, where the red and the blue is giving us a lovely pumpkin orange. What a pity it's not autumn in our side of the world. So what I'll do is I'll just keep adding blue until I can get a purple, which should be that. And I'll do the same thing here. This is obviously the green is coming through and not the red. So I will just keep adding more red to the bottle of so-called green. So that was my little science experiment. Do you know what? It was fun and I learned something, at least. Then another thing I've been doing, this is all in preparation, of course, for the big project of the Remembery. But I was watching a video the other night from one of the ladies that I've subscribed to. Her name is Nicky, and her channel is called WW Designs. She's an Australian lady, and she's made this, which she calls Collage Fodder, and I think it's fabulous. Look how it's turned out. It's done on magazine paper, so it's just your book page thing. Oh, sorry, Kitty, can you see me? Here I am. Here I am. I just have to wave at my cat. He never comes to look for me. He sits just inside the doorway and yodels when he can't see me. Poor old soul is stone deaf. Anyway, these are what I did. So you basically you just sit down and draw a squirrely thing. Like she showed us this, which was, and oh, she uses a chisel-tipped black marker for what she does. And I went out and bought myself one. Well, I didn't go out specifically, but while I was out, I bought myself one, and I also bought a purple one. Because look here. That is also rather cool, is it not? So, this is where I've gotten to making these things, because now when you're doing a collage, when you're making a master board, you've got some options here. You can do all kinds of funky stuff. I rather like this little one as well. And then she also did kind of geometric things. This was the sort of thing she did. So I decided to give it a bash with something like this. And I just, yeah, little funny pieces, because they'll all look really cool. Now this one, I didn't leave a white edge, which was because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. But it's okay. But you see, using the white edge somehow makes it pop. And then, because I don't have a stencil or a stamp that prints big numbers, what I've done is just a couple of big numbers, because those are rather nice on a background sometimes. So that's as far as I've got with this. And of course, you know, the reason for the purple is because the beginning of the Remembery is going to start from Edwardian times, and the kind of faded lilac that I've chosen to be one of the colors kind of says Edwardian, vintage, antique. So that's the reason for the purple. So there we go. That's that, getting ready for some collage. And then what I've also done is I coffee dyed a whole lot of paper this morning, because something else I've seen, which I absolutely love as well, is strips, where this person cuts strips of paper or tape. She actually uses brown packaging tape, which I have, and she will stamp and draw and stencil designs on a strip about this long. And I thought, well, I will need some paper that is not brown packaging paper, just for contrast. So I decided to coffee dye. And what I'm using is, you know, when I first got those lovely old magazines, when I found them, I went rushing off to a local place that does photocopying and prints out things for people. And I got a person that I hadn't been using previously, and this poor soul misunderstood me. And when I asked him to print the pages from the magazine, because I'd gone through the magazine and put a little colored piece of paper, gummed paper, in the top corner of each page that I wanted photocopied. and I had asked him to take the strip off and photocopy for me, and this was the result. For a start, the background, instead of coming up this kind of almost packaging paper brown, came up bright yellow with his photocopying, and this was the result. Bright garish yellow, even once it's been coffee dyed. So this can't be used, but the other side can, and I still have this magazine. So all is not lost. I can copy it, I can scan it in my machine, and it comes up the correct color. So, but you see, there's the little piece of tape where he left it in the magazine. Anyway, these things happen. So I've got this little pile now, because that's what I did. All those pages that I couldn't use, I've just coffee dyed the whole lot of them, and now I have this pile of coffee dyed paper, and some of it's really turned out beautifully. Others can do with a little bit of help, but that's fine. We all know how to do that. I have my spray of cold coffee, and yeah, so that's that little bit sorted out. So we're slowly getting there, and as I say, although it doesn't look like I'm doing stuff for the Remembery, I am. And my next move is to go through a big cardboard box of photographs dating back to Edwardian times, and taking out what I need for the first few pages in my signature, so that I can do something there as well. Well, I've been a busy little bee. I have cut one of my sheets of coffee dyed paper into strips, 4 centimeters wide, is what I made it, because I did want to try what I mentioned earlier, that lady who's been doing these lovely strips towards preparing to make masterboards. And so I have the coffee dyed paper, I have some of the packaging paper also cut into 4 centimeter strips, and then this is I don't know if I mentioned it. If I did, forgive me if I repeat myself, but this lady was also using packaging tape, you know, which is this brown paper gummed tape, very old-fashioned. But I just happen to have a huge roll of this stuff, so I cut a couple of pieces of that and then folded it in half lengthways to cut it into strips, and these are slightly narrower. These are 3.5 centimeters wide. But anyway, that was my preparation, and then I started to play, and I tell you what, I've been having the time of my life. I'm quite sad that I have to now stop and start doing actual journal pages, because I began with the coffee dyed paper. This was my first strip. I hand drew the little flowers, all of them, the leaves, all of this is hand drawn, and then I used my acrylic pens in white and purple with a bit of yellow to color the flowers. And then, because I don't have a lovely green with the acrylic markers, I mixed some green paint to paint the little leaves down here, and then I took a sponge and just gently smudged green paint all around the edges of this. And I think it's beautiful. It will look lovely running down the edge of the page. You can cut it into little pieces to use it for collage. And I have discovered, I've just happened to have this little strip of faded lilac lace. Look how pretty that looks on here. You know, you could take it either way. It's absolutely super. Could put it along the edge like this, for example. You know, down each side. Make a belly band, whatever. But it's gorgeous. I love it. So that was number one. This one still had the green paint lying around. So I just drew this wiggly black line, the wavy line. And then these are tiny little leaf stamps, courtesy of Timu, that I bought some time back. And they're rather pretty. This one is kind of ferny, you know. And so I then stamped this. There's two different leaves. There's this one, and then there's that one. So I alternated all the way down. And then added these little curly whirlies, just to make it more interesting. And then I thought, you know what? I can use that paint, that leftover paint. So I just added a little bit of white paint to the sap green to lighten it up so it wasn't the same color as the green on this side. And just splashed it on, just splashed it on. I didn't even try hard. It was just like splat, 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 splat. And I love the way it's turned out. I'll bring it up closer so you can see more detail. But you see how pretty it looks. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. So that's what I did with that. And then I sprayed it with a little bit more coffee, just to make it a bit more marked. So those were those two. Then I took my piece of brown paper packaging where I had I'd brayered off the brayer onto a piece of paper and got this lovely background. You remember it was, here's another one, this kind of thing. And then I thought, okay, what if I put a stencil on here? It doesn't have to be the whole stencil. And I just took two little pieces of a stencil that I have and just drew around it with a pen. I didn't paint it or anything. I just used a pen to trace it out onto here. Then I came back with my black acrylic marking pen and I colored these in all the way through. Then I thought, hang on a minute, let's add just a little bit more. It was just not quite doing it for me. So I took my white acrylic marking pen because this particular pen is beautiful. It is so opaque and it is so white, and it's actually better than me using a gel pen. So let's bring this up really close so you can see. So what I've done here is I've put tiny little speckles, little clusters of tiny little white speckles all over the background. Then I went around the flower centers with a couple of dots and then just put one dot on each berry. And that was that one done. And I just love it. I'm loving all of these things. This has been so relaxing and so much fun to do. Then the next thing I did was I took my my sponge homemade fun foam daisy. This was a die cut, I bought a little packet of the daisies, but they'd made of foam, and it doesn't work all that well with stamping ink, but it works beautifully with black acrylic paint. So using the black acrylic paint, I put these down. Then I took my black acrylic marking pen and I just did the wavy stalk thing all the way down like that. Added 2 leaves in between each daisy. Put some dots on the centers of the daisy. And that was it. Done and dusted. Just a plain piece of the brown packaging, no fancy backgrounds or anything like that, but very effective, I thought. So that was number 4. And now the final one, which I have absolutely loved doing, because I've always been a little bit wary of Zentangles. I thought, I don't think I have the patience, I don't think I have the ability, I don't think I can do Zentangles. And then I started following one of the people I've subscribed to. Her name is Lavinia Nova. And she's doing a challenge at the moment, a Zentangle challenge. So I'm kind of following her along with what she's doing. And one of the tangles that she did, you know, each day they've got a prompt, and it's a particular Zentangle. They've all got names. I mean, this is all so new to me. Anyhow, there's one that appealed to me. So I sat down today with a piece of the gummed brown tape and I played. And I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous. All I did was the sort of basic outline of the Zentangle as she did it. And then I started fiddling and I started adding bits and adding little fiddly bits and so on and so forth. And then I thought, okay, so I've colored this all in, and it's all done in black ink. What about a bit of contrast? So out came the white acrylic marker again. And this is the result. I just love it. Look at that. And it's kind of telling me, it's a little, it's almost Art Nouveau-ish, you know, which is Edwardian times. That was the art and the fashion and the architecture was all Art Nouveau. And that's my excuse, and that's why I did it. So there we go, folks. This is what I've been doing so far this week. And I now have to put my head down. I definitely, tomorrow morning, I haul out the box of photographs and I start to plan my first pages of the signature for the Remembery. It's going to be the Edwardian times Remembery, and it's going to be so much fun to do. So I will start with getting that out and doing the basic planning tomorrow. But please, if you enjoyed this, won't you hit the like button? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because I would love you to subscribe. And then comments. I'd love some feedback from you, especially on the Zentangle. Some of you ladies must be experts out there. Please tell me if I'm on the right track. And what do you think of these? This was a lovely little person. Her name is Stephanie Hilltop something. I'll have a look and I'll put it in the comments. I'll pin it to the comments below, because I got this idea from her. So yeah, I'm quite happy to admit that sometimes I am a copycat. Anyway, so that is that for today. So I've asked you to like, I've asked you to subscribe, I've asked you to comment. So all that's left to say is bye bye till next next time.